Welcome to the serene world of bedtime stories, where dreams are woven and a hustle the day gently fades away. Tonight, I invite you to join me on a magical journey into a tale of enchantment, mystery, and the boundless courage of a young princess. Our story, the secret garden of whispering shadows, spin freenlets in a realm where the sun's warmth and the moon's tender gaze bring life to all they touch. As the world outside your window slips into the tranquil embrace of the night, let the worries of your day dissolve like mist under the morning sun. Make yourself comfortable, take a deep breath, and close your eyes. Allow my voice to guide you through force of imagination, past the gates of a hidden garden, and into the heart of an adventure that promises to be as captivating as the stars above. Let the melody of our tale lull you into a peaceful slumber where you too can wander in realms of endless possibility. May tonight's story be the key that unclocks the dreams awaiting you, the secret garden of your own heart. Drift away, dear listener, for the journey begins now. Enter the watchful eyes of the moon and stars into a night filled with dreams and whispers of magic yet to be discovered. Chapter 1. The Discovery. Once upon a time, in a kingdom where the sun kissed the earth and the moon washed over the night, there lived a princess named Alara. With hair as dark as the raven's wind and eyes that mirrored the twilight sky, she was the jewel of the kingdom. Yet, despite the love and adoration she received, Princess Alara's heart yearned for something beyond the castle walls. Something she couldn't name. One day, while wandering the castle's vast gardens, her gaze fell upon a path she had never noticed before. Overgrown and hidden beneath the embrace of wildflowers and ivy, it whispered promises, secrets, and adventures. Compelled by a force she couldn't understand, Alara followed the path as it meandered through the woods, leading her deeper into the heart of the unknown. The further she walked, the more the forest around her seemed to change. The trees stretched taller, their branches weaving together to form a canopy that filtered the sunlight into a golden haze. The air was filled with the scent of ancient earth and the sound of silence, a silence so profound it seemed to hum with hidden life. After what felt like hours, the path brought her to a clearing, and there, at its edge, stood a gate. It was not a gate made of iron or wood, but of living vines, and adorned with flowers that shimmered in hues of silver and gold, flowers that seemed to glow with an inner light. As Alara approached, she realized she was now alone. A fox's fur, vibrant shade of red against the green, stood before the gate, its intelligent eyes watching her closely. It was then she understood that this was no ordinary fox, but a spirit guardian of the path, a keeper at the gate, who seeks entry into the secret garden. The fox asked, its voice a whisper on the wind. "I'm Alara, princess of the realm," she replied, her voice steady despite the wonder and trepidation that filled her heart. The fox studied her for a moment, its gaze piercing yet not unkind. Then, as if satisfied with what it saw, it stepped aside. "The garden recognizes the purity of your heart, Princess Alara. You may enter," it said, and with a flick of its tail, the vines parted, revealing the path beyond. With a deep breath, Alara stepped through the gate into a world that would change her life forever. For beyond that gate lay the secret garden, a place of magic and mystery, where the adventure she longed for awaited. As the gate closed behind her, sealing her path back to the world she knew, Alara felt a thrill of fear and excitement. She was now a traveler in a land forgotten by time, a place where the stories of old were not just tales, but reality. Then it was here in the secret garden that her story truly began. As Princess Alara stepped through the gate, the world transformed around her. The air shimmered with unseen energy, and the colors of the garden burst forth with such vibrancy that it seemed she had stepped into a painting. The chill of the eternal winter nipped at her skin, yet the beauty of the garden, even in its frozen state, was undeniable. Ice Crystals hung from the branches like jewels, and snowflakes danced in the air, each one a tiny masterpiece. The fox spirit, now her guide, led her along a path that wound through the garden. This place is ancient, as old as the tales of magic, it said, its voice a soft echo in the quiet. Once it was a haven of life and beauty, a place where all creatures lived in harmony. But now it suffers under a curse that has stolen its warmth and joy. Her heart ached at the words. She could feel the sorrow of the garden, a longing for the spring that never came. And as they walked, she noticed that the eyes of the animals they passed, hidden among the trees and bushes, wet her with curiosity and hope. Finally, they arrived at a clearing at the center of which stood a grand oak. Its branches, heavy with snow, stretched towards the sky, and beneath it sat an assembly of animals, unlike any Alara had ever seen. There were creatures of every shape and size, from the smallest mouse to the largest bear, all waiting in silent anticipation. The council of animals, the fox announced, its tail sweeping behind it. Keepers of the garden's lore and protectors of its magic. One by one, the animals introduced themselves to Atara, each offering her a greeting of peace. Or was the wise old owl whose feathers were as white as the snow, the stag whose antlers shimmered with frost, and the rabbit whose fur was as soft as the clouds. Each animal in turn shared their story of the garden of days filled with sunlight and nights under the stars before the curse had turned their world into a realm of ice and shadow. As the council spoke, Alara listened with a heavy heart. She had read of enchanted gardens in her storybooks, but she had never imagined that such places could exist, or that they could suffer so deeply. Why has this happened? Alara asked, her voice buried above a whisper. Who would curse such a beautiful place? The animals exchanged glances, and the air seemed to grow colder. There was the owl who answered, its voice grave. It was the witch of the whispering shadows, the owl said. Once she was a guardian of this garden, a sorceress of great power and kindness. Out of betrayal hardened her heart, and in her anger, she cast a spell that brought eternal winter upon us. Now she watches over the garden. Her heart is cold as the ice that binds us. Alara's resolve hardened. Then I will speak to this witch, she declared. I will find her and ask her to lift the curse. There must be a way to bring back the spring. The council murmured among themselves, impressed by the princess's courage but worried for her safety. The fox stepped forward, its eyes locked on her wildness. It is a dangerous path you choose, it warned. But if you are determined, we will help you. A witch's lair lies deep within the garden, guarded by spells and shadows. You will need all your wits and courage to reach her. Hilhar nodded, her mind made up. She would face the witch of the whispering shadows and save the garden, no matter the cost. As the meeting came to an end, the animals of the council pledged their support to Alara, offering her their wisdom and protection. And with the fox as her guide, she set off into the heart of the garden, towards her destiny. As Atora ventured deeper into the secret garden, guided by the fox whose fur glowed like embers in the twilight, the garden began to unveil its wonders. But the curse of eternal winter had silenced the vibrant life that once thrived here. There was still magic pulsing beneath the frozen surface, waiting to be awakened. The path they followed twisted and turned, leading them through armories of ice, and over bridges spanning frozen streams. The beauty of the garden, even in its slumber, was breathtaking. Flowers encased in ice shimmered like gems, and the trees were adorned with frost that sparkled under the moon's gentle glow. As they moved, the garden seemed to watch, its inhabitants peering from their hiding places with cautious curiosity. Then softly at first, as if carried on the wind, Alara heard whispers. There were not words but emotions, hopes and fears, love and sorrow, echoing through the air like a melody only the heart could understand. These are the whispers of the garden, the fox explained, noticing Alara's wonder. Each snowflake, Each blade of grass, even the stones beneath our feet, holds a memory. The garden remembers its days of bloom and laughter, and it dreams of the spring to come. Elara reached out, her fingers brushing against a rose frozen in ice. At her touch, a warmth spread through her, and for a moment she could feel the rose's yearning for the sun's kiss, its desire to unfurl its petals once more. The garden speaks to you because it recognizes the light within you. The fox continued. You carry the warmth of spring in your heart, and with it, the hope to break the curse. Their journey led them to a clearing where the snow lay undisturbed, a blanket of white under the stars. In the center stood a statue of a woman, her features noble, her gaze fixed on the horizon. The statue was covered in a layer of frost, but its beauty was undiminished. This is the guardian of the garden, the fox said, its tone reverent. In the days before the curse, she protected this place, nurturing its magic. Now, she watches over us, a reminder of what we have lost and what we fight to regain. With a newfound resolve, Elara turned to the fox. Tell me what I must do. How can we break the curse and bring back the spring? The fox regarded her with its amber eyes, and for a moment, the garden fell silent, as if awaiting its answer. The witch's heart is the key, it said at last. Her anger and sorrow sustained the curse. You must find her, speak to her, and understand the pain that led her to this. Only then can the thaw begin. Elara nodded, her path clear. She would seek out the witch of the whispering shadows, not as a foe, but with compassion and understanding. She would show the witch the garden's whispers, its dreams of spring, and together, they would find a way to heal the wounds of the past. With the first whispers of the garden echoing in her heart, Elara stepped forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The fox by her side, she ventured deeper into the realm of ice and shadow, a beacon of hope in the eternal winter. Beneath the watchful gaze of the guardian statue, the secret garden began to stir with the anticipation of change. Princess Elara, with the fox by her side, continued her journey until they reached an ancient grove that seemed untouched by the Burza's frost. Here, the snow thinned, revealing patches of green, a garden's heart, where the magic held strong against the cold. In the center of the grove stood a great elm, its branches wide and welcoming. Beneath it, the council of animals had gathered, each member a guardian of the garden's lore. As Elara approached, the council members, ranging from the noble deer with antlers like wrought iron to the tiny field mouse, its eyes, bright with intelligence, turned their gaze upon her. The fox announced her arrival. Behold, the Princess Elara, bearer of spring's hope, declared, its voice echoing through the grove. One by one, the animals came forward, offering words of welcome. They spoke not with the voices of men, but with the language of the heart, a gift of the garden that allowed all creatures within its bounds to understand one another. The deer, with a grace that matched its stature, bowed its head. Princess, we have long awaited one who did carry our hopes beyond these frozen walls. The curse that binds us is strong, but in you, we see the warmth of spring's promise. The field mouse, small but undaunted, added we, the smallest of the garden, feel the weight of the winter most. Your presence brings us hope, light in the darkness that has enveloped our home. As the council spoke, Elara listened, her heart heavy with the burden of their trust. She realized then that her journey was not hers alone, but shared by all who suffered under the thousand chill. It was the owl, wise and ancient, that spoke of the curse. Long ago, this garden was a paradise, a place where all lived in harmony. But when the witch of the whispering shadows cast her spell, eternal winter fell upon us. The garden's magic fights to survive, but without the witch's forgiveness, spring cannot return. Elara stepped forward, her resolve firm. I will speak to the witch, she vowed. I will find her and ask her to see the garden as it once was, as it can be again. Together we will break the curse." The council murmured their approval, and the fox, now recognized as her guide and protector, nodded. The path is fraught with challenges, it warned. "But we will offer you our knowledge and our blessings. The witch resides in the heart of the garden, shrouded in shadows and ice. To reach her, you must first understand the garden's sorrow and the witch's pain. With the council's wisdom to guide her, Alara felt the weight of her quest settle upon her shoulders. She was not merely a princess of the realm, but a champion of the secret garden and all its inhabitants. As the meeting concluded, the annals of the council came forward, each imparting to Alara a gift. A feather from the owl for wisdom, a leaf from the elm for strength, and a stone from the stream for courage. With these tokens and the garden's hopes woven into the fabric of her spirit, Alara turned to face the heart of the garden, where shadows danced and the witch awaited. With each step, the whispers of the garden grew stronger, a chorus of longing for the return of spring. Alara, with the fox by her side, moved deeper into the realm of ice, her heart a beacon of warmth in the winter's cold embrace. With the gifts of the council secured, and the path ahead cleared Princess Alara, and the fox ventured into the darker recesses of the garden, where their courses crepused. The beauty that at first greeted Alara now gave way to a landscape of desolation, where the frost had turned everything to ice, and the once vibrant life of the garden was stilled. As if caught in a moment of sorrow, as they journeyed, the fox began to recount the tale of the eternal winter, a story woven with magic, betrayal, and heartache. Long ago, the fox started, its voice a soft murmur against the crunch of snow underfoot. The garden was under the care of a powerful sorceress known as Avelini. She was the witch of the Whispering Shadows, named for her ability to speak with the spirits of the forest and the shadows of the night. Avelini loved the garden with all her heart and tended to it with gentle hands, ensuring it flourished through all seasons. Alara listened, captivated by the story of the witch who was now her adversary. But Avelini's heart was not just filled with love for the garden. The fox continued. There was also love for a moral man, a prince from a distant land. He had stumbled upon the garden by chance, and between Anne and Avelini, a bond formed, one as strong as magic that flowed through the garden's veins. The fox paused, its eyes reflecting the sadness of the tale it told. Their love was a beacon of hope, a testament to the harmony between the magic and mortal worlds. But such happiness was not to last. The prince, bound by duty and the laws of his realm, was forced to leave. He promised Avelini he would return for her, but as the seasons changed, he did not come back. Alara felt a pang of sorrow for the witch, imagining the heartache of waiting for a love would never return. In her despair, Aveline's magic turned to ice, her sorrow freezing the very heart of the garden. She vowed that if she could not have the warmth of her love, then the garden would never again feel the warmth of the sun. And so the curse of eternal winter was cast, a reflection of her frozen heart. The fox's tale shed light on the depth of those moods, entangled in the loss and grief of the witch of the Whispering Shadows. Alara realized that to break the curse, she would need to mend more than just the garden. She would need to heal a broken heart. The prince did return, the fox added, its voice barely a whisper, but he found only the garden's winter and no sign in his beloved Avelini. Overcome with grief, he searched until the cold claimed him, and he became a part of the garden's eternal winter. The tale ended, leaving a heavy silence between them. Alara felt the weight of the story settle in her heart, a complex tapestry of love, loss, and the consequences of a heart turned cold. Armed with the knowledge of the Narration, Alara knew her quest was not just to confront the witch, but to offer her understanding and compassion. For only through understanding the past could the garden hope to see the spring once more, with the tale of the eternal winter guiding her. Alara pressed on, the shadows of the garden looming ahead where the witch and the heart of the curse awaited. The heart of the garden was a place where the shadows clung like cobwebs in the chill of the eternal winter bit, with fangs of frost. It was here, in the deepest part of the garden, that Elak and the fox found the lair of the witch of the whispering shadows. The lair was not a castle of ice, or a den of darkness as one might expect, but rather a humble cottage, its windows aglow with a soft light that pierced the surrounding gloom. Alara approached with caution, her heart a tumult of emotions. She had come to break a curse, hard with the tale of a heartbroken witch and a garden longing for spring. The door to the cottage stood before her, simple and unassuming. Yet it was the threshold to a confrontation that could change the fate of the garden forever. With a deep breath, Alara knocked. The door creaked open, revealing the interior of the cottage, warm and inviting, a stark contrast to the winter outside. There, amidst shelves lined with ancient tomes and doldrums bubbling with mysterious brews, stood Avellini, the witch of the whispering shadows. Avellini was not the fearsome figure Alara had envisioned. She was a woman of timeless beauty, her eyes deep pools of sorrow and wisdom. She regarded Alara with a gaze that pierced straight to the soul, and for a moment time itself seemed to stand still. "Who dares enter my domain?" Evelyn's voice was neither harsh nor welcoming, but it carried the weight of loneliness and isolation. "I am Alara, princess of the realm beyond your garden," Alara replied, her voice steady despite the fluttering of her heart. "I have come to ask you to lift the curse of eternal winter." Evelyn's reaction was not one of anger, but rather surprise. A flicker of curiosity crossed her features, and she motioned for Alara to enter. "You seek to break the curse," Avellini mused, her gaze thoughtful. "Many have tried, yet none have understood its true nature. Tell me, princess, why do you believe you can succeed where others have failed?" Alara stepped forward, her resolve firm. "I know of your sorrow, Avellini. I know of the love you lost and the despair that turned your heart to ice. But the garden suffers, and with it all its inhabitants. I believe there is still warmth in your heart, warmth that can melt the winter and bring back the spring." The witch listened, and as Akora spoke, the icy veneer around Avellini seemed to crack, revealing glimpses of the woman she once was, a guardian of life and beauty. "You speak with a compassion I have not seen in ages," Avellini said, a softness creeping into her voice. "Perhaps I have clung to my grief for too long, casting my shadows over a garden that deserves to bloom." Alara, sensing the change in the witch, pressed on. "Let us heal the garden together, Avellini. Let us bring back the spring and allow life to flourish once more. Your heartache has been a heavy burden, but it does not have to define you." Avellini paused, a battle of emotions playing across her face. Then, with a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of countless winters, she nodded. "Very well, princess," Avellini conceded. "I will lift the curse. And now, yes, the garden will need more than just my magic to heal. It will need the care and love of all its inhabitants, and most of all, it will need time." Together, Alara and Avellini emerged from the cottage, stepping into the heart of the garden. With a wave of cave wind, the air shimmered, and the ice began to retreat, chased away by the promise of warmth. The nocturnal winter was ending, and the garden, at long last, began to awaken from its slumber. As the first buds of spring appeared, breaking through the snow in defiance of the wind's rain, Alara knew that the garden's tale of sorrow was coming to an end, giving way to a story of hope, renewal, and an enduring power of love. And so, the secret garden of whispering shadows found its spring, thanks to a princess who dared to believe in the warmth of her broken heart. Chapter 2. The Curse of Eternal Winter. As the garden began its slow thaw from the curse of eternal winter, a new challenge arose for Princess Alara. Though Avellini, The Witch of the Whispering Shadows had lifted the curse. The garden's recovery was not as swift as hoped. The magic that had sustained the curse for so long had deeply entwined itself with the land. And while thus receded, the garden's life remained dormant, struggling to awaken. Avoinino, an ally to Alara and the garden's inhabitants, revealed that there existed a way to ensure the garden's complete revival. A mythical bloom known as the sun's embrace. This extraordinary flower, radiant with the power of the sun itself, was said to possess the ability to dispel any remnants of winter's chill, encouraging growth and renewal with unparalleled strength. The sun's embrace is not merely a flower, Avainini explained, her eyes alight with a spark that had been absent for too long. It is a symbol of hope, a beacon of warmth that can restore the balance of magic in the garden. But it is hidden, protected by trials that test the heart. A spirit of those who seek it. Determined to see the garden flourish once again, Ikar resolved to embark on this new quest. With the blessings of Avalini and the Council of Animals, she set out at dawn when the first light of morning painted the sky in hues of gold and pink. The fox of her loyal guide accompanied her, its tail flicking in anticipation of the journey ahead. Their quest led them beyond the garden's borders, into the realms that lay forgotten by time. They traversed ancient forests where the trees whispered secrets of old, crossed rivers that sparkled with the magic of the moon, and climbed hills that offered views of lands untouched by the sorrows of the garden. As they ventured further, the fox shared tales of the sun's embrace that had been sought by many, but found by few. The sun's embrace grows in the heart of the sunlit glade, a place where the sun's rays touch the earth with a love so profound it nurtures all life within its embrace. The fox narrated it, its voice carrying the wonder of the web legend. Ilar listened, her heart filled with determination and a growing sense of purpose. She understood that the quest was not just about finding a flower, but about proving her commitment to the garden and its inhabitants. She was ready to face whatever trials lay ahead, knowing that the future of the garden depended on her success. The journey was long and fraught with challenges. Alara and the fox faced tests of courage, wisdom, and compassion. They encountered creatures of magic, some benevolent, offering guidance and assistance, while others, twisted by the remnants of the curse, sought to hinder their progress with riddles and obstacles. Through each trial, Alara's resolve only grew stronger, her heart guided by the love for the garden and the hope for its restoration. She learned to listen to the whispers of the earth, to understand the language of the wind and the songs of the streams. With each step, she grew closer not only to the sun's embrace, but also to the magic that pulsed through the magical world, a connection that deepened her understanding of her own power and the responsibilities that came with it. Finally, after days of travel and trials, Alara and the fox arrived at the edge of the sunlit glade. The air was warmer here, filled with the fragrance of blooming flowers and the vibrant chorus of life. Sunlight filtered through the leaves in golden streams, bathing the glade in a light so pure, it seemed to wash away the last vestiges of winter's cold. And there, in the heart of the glade, stood the sun's embrace, a way more beautiful than Alara had imagined, its head glowing with the light of the sun, casting warmth that enveloped her in a gentle embrace. As Alara reached out to touch the flower, she felt a surge of magic flow through her, a connection that spanned the heart of the garden and the essence of the sun itself. She knew then that the quest for the sun's embrace was not just a journey across lands, but a journey within, to the heart of her own strength, and boundless potential of renewal and hope. With this sun's embrace secured, Alara and the fox made their way back to the garden, where the promise of spring awaited, ready to bloom in the warmth of the sun's eternal embrace. Upon their return to the party, with the glow of the sun's embrace lighting their way, and the fox's spirit were met not by the sprawling vernon's they had hoped for, but by a new singer. A single nose and taste and Spanish of ice and some sound. This was no ordinary frost, for the ice shimmered with an ethereal light, suggesting magic far ancient and profound. The riddle of the frozen rose, the fox whispered, its tone imbued with reverence. It is said that this rose holds the key to unlocking the full potential of the sun's embrace. But to do so, one must first solve its riddle. Alara, her curiosity piqued by the challenge, approached the rose. The ice was cold, yet it radiated a warmth that seemed to beckon her closer. Etched into the surface of the ice, almost imperceptible unless one looked closely, were words. A riddle waiting to be unraveled. In winter's grasp, I slumber, a bloom is almost encased in ice, yet burning bright. A paradox exists. To free the heart within the frost, and spring's warmth to enlist. Speak now the words that melt the ice and sends embrace to assist. Alara read riddle aloud, her voice steady in the hushed silence of the garden. The fox sat by her side, its eyes gleaming with the knowledge of countless tales and legends. The princess pondered the riddle, understanding that the solution lay not in literal warmth, but in the warmth of emotion, of love and hope. The very essence of what she had sought on her quest for the sun's embrace. With a heart full of the love she bore for the garden and its inhabitants, and the hope she nurtured for their future, Alara spoke. The warmth of love, the light of hope, these are the keys to thawing the heart. Where there is love, even the coldest winter yields to the promise of spring. As the words left her lips, a remarkable transformation occurred. The ice began to melt, not with a trickle of water, but with the blooming of light, as if the sun itself had descended to kiss the rose. The frozen sheath receded, revealing the rose in all its glory. A bloom with such vibrant red, it seemed to pulsate with life. The princess pondered the riddle, understanding that the solution lay not in literal warmth, but in the warmth of emotion, of love and hope. The very essence of what she had sought on her quest for the sun's embrace. With a heart full of the love she bore for the garden and its inhabitants, and the hope she nurtured for their future, Alara spoke. The warmth of love, the light of hope, these are the keys to thawing the heart. Where there is love, even the coldest winter yields to the promise of spring. As the words left her lips, a remarkable transformation occurred. The ice began to melt, not with a trickle of water, but with the blooming of light, as if the sun itself had descended to kiss the rose. The frozen sheath receded, revealing the rose in all its glory. A bloom with such vibrant red, it seemed to pulsate with life. From the heart of the rose, a warm, golden light emerged, weaving through the air towards the sun's embrace that Alara held. The two lights met, and for a moment, the garden was bathed in a radiant glow. A preview of the renewal that was to come. When the light faded, the garden remained transformed. The plants, once sluggish in their recovery, now stretched towards the sky with renewed vigor. Flowers bloomed with emergency, painting the garden with swatches of color, and the air was filled with the buzz of life, a symphony of nature's resilience. The riddle of the frozen rose was not just a test of wit, the fox said, watching the garden come alive. It was a reminder that even in the heart of winter, the warmth of love and the light of hope can awaken the slumbering life, ready to embrace the sun's return. Alara, standing amidst the burgeoning life of the garden, felt a deep connection to the land and its magic. She had faced the riddle, and in doing so had unlocked the deeper magic of the sun's embrace, ensuring that the garden's revival was not just a fleeting moment, but a lasting rebirth. With the riddle solved and the garden's heart beating strong once more, Alara knew that her quest was far from over. There were still shadows to chase away, still wounds to heal, but with each step, she was bringing the garden closer to its firm glory, guided by the timeless wisdom of love and hope. With the garden beginning to thrive under the nurturing glow of the sun's embrace, Princess Alara's journey led her to a new trial. one that would test the very essence of her spirit. Guided by the wisdom of the fox and in the found vitality of the garden, Alara set forth towards a destination whispered in legends. A frozen volcano, said to house the guardians of the flame. This was no ordinary flame, but a fire eternal, burning with the power to cleanse and renew, to ignite the spark of life, the heart of winter's despair. The guardians of the flame, creatures of fire and ash, were its protectors, tasked with ensuring that only those pure of heart and steadfast in resolve could wield its power. The journey to the frozen volcano was arduous. The land around it was a paradox, where snow met ash and ice clashed with smoldering embers. Yet, Alara pressed on, her determination fueled by the promise of what the flame could bring. A final end to the remnants of the curse that lingered in the garden's shadows. As they neared the heart of the volcano, the air grew warmer, the snow giving way to barren rock and streams of molten lava. Then there at the summit, they found the entrance to the Guardians. There, the cavern aglow with the light of the eternal flame. Upon entering, Alara and the fox were met with the sight of the Guardians. They were majestic creatures, their bodies composed of flames that danced and flickered, casting shadows that played along the cavern walls. Their eyes were coals that burned with the wisdom of ages, and their voices were the crackle of fire, both welcoming in morning. You who seek the flame, step forward, boomed the voice of the led guardian, its form towering above the others. To wield the flame's power, you must first prove your worth. Many have come before you, drawn by the promise of its light, but only those true of heart may pass our test. Alara stepped forward, her resolve unwavering. I come not for power, but for the hope of renewal. The garden and its inhabitants have suffered long under the curse of eternal winter. I seek the flame as aid to restore what has been lost, to bring warmth where there is cold, and light where there is darkness. The guardians regarded her, their flames flickering as if in deep contemplation. Then, as one, they turned and led Alara deeper into the cavern, to the heart, where the eternal flame burned bright and fierce. Their heart seems pure, but it is not enough to simply wish for the garden's renewal. You must show us the strength of your resolve and depth of your courage, said the led guardian. Only then can the flame be entrusted to you. The trial was one of spirit and fire. Alara was asked to reach you with the flame, to find within its heart a token of her Torah, Coziest, a single ember that glowed with a light as pure as her intentions. The task was daunting, for the flame was not just heat and light, but a test of will, challenging Alara to overcome fear and doubt. With the fox by her side and the memories of the garden's whispers in her heart, Alara reached forth. The heat was intense, a blaze that threatened to overwhelm her, but she pushed forward, guided by the clarity of her purpose. And there, within the heart of the flame, her fingers closed around the ember, cool to the touch despite the inferno that raged around it. You have shown your worth, declared the guardians, as the cavern filled with a light so bright it seemed to banish all shadows. The flame recognizes the purity of your heart and the strength of your resolve. Its power is now yours to wield, a beacon of hope for the garden and its inhabitants. With the ember secured, Alara and the fox emerged from the cavern, the eternal flame's power alight within the token she now carried. The journey back to the garden was illuminated by the promise of renewal, the warmth of the flame assuring that the shadows of the curse would be chased away, once and for all. With the eternal flame ember safely in her possession, Princess Alara returned to the garden, where the first signs of spring whispered promises of renewal and rebirth. Yet, amidst the burgeoning life, a shadow lingered, a remnant of the curse that had once held the garden in an icy grip. Guided by the wisdom of the fox and the knowledge shared by Avavini, the palace sought the source of this lingering shadow. It settled down the heart, Deep within the garden and hidden from the entering eye, lay a secluded glen, shrouded in mist and silence. It was here that the Ebon heart resided, a crystal of unparalleled beauty, its facets shimmering with the captured essence of the garden's magic. Encased in a layer of ice, forged by the witch's most potent spells, the heart pulsed with a light that seemed to beckon, yet remained just out of reach. Ebon heart, the fox murmured, its gaze fixed on the crystal. It is the core of the garden's magic, the source of its life and beauty. But as long as it remains encased in ice, the garden will never fully awaken from its winter slumber. Elara approached the heart, drawn by its luminescence. The air around it was cold, a reminder of the curse that had once consumed the garden. That within the ice, she could see the heart's slates struggling to break free, a testament to the enduring strength of the garden's spirit. To release the heart from its icy prison, you must use the ember of the eternal flame. The fox advised, but be warned, the ice is not merely frozen water, but a manifestation of the witch's deepest fears and regrets. To melt it, you must not only bring warmth, but also understanding and forgiveness. Elara nodded, the weight of her task settling upon her shoulders. She understood that the journey to revive the garden was as much about healing the wounds of the past as it was about breaking the physical chains of the curse. Holding the ember in her hand, Elara closed her eyes and focused on the warmth that radiated, the light of hope and renewal. She thought of the witch, Avelina, and the journey they had undertaken. From adversaries to allies, united by a common cause. With a heart full of compassion and forgiveness, Elara reached out and placed the ember against the ice. A gentle warmth spread from the point of contact, a light that grew brighter with each passing moment. The ice began to melt, not with the force of heat, but with the power of understanding and forgiveness, unraveling the spells that bound it. As the ice receded, the heat-bound heart emerged, its light and fetid radiating through the glen and beyond, touching every corner of the garden. The plants responded, their growth accelerating, flowers blooming with a vibrancy that outshone the morning sun. The animals of the garden gathered, watching in awe as the heart's magic restored the balance of nature, weaving together the fabric of life that had been torn by the curse. Elara watched, her heart filled with joy as she witnessed the garden's transformation. The bound heart, now free from its icy shroud, pulsed with a steady rhythm, a heartbeat that echoed the renewed life of the garden. The garden is awake, the fox said, its voice a whisper of wonder. The shadows of the curse are gone, chased away by the light of the heart. You have brought back the spring, Princess Elara, and with it, the promise of new beginnings. With the garden's magic restored and its heart beating strong, Elara knew that her journey was nearing its end. Yet she also knew that the true magic of the garden lay, not in the crystal of the flame, but in the bonds of friendship and understanding that had been forged along the way. The garden was a testament to the power of hope, a sanctuary where the warmth of spring would forever hold sway over the cold of winter. In the wake of the Iron Heart's liberation, the garden flourished with an exuberance that spoke of long-awaited freedom and renewal. Yet, amidst this burgeoning life, a shadow of the past lingered, a tale untold that tethered the garden to its sorrowful history. It was under the cloak of night, beneath a tapestry of stars, that Elara sought to uncover this tale, to weave together the frayed ends of understanding and compassion. The witch Avelina had requested a meeting at the stroke of midnight, within the heart of the garden now teeming with magic and life. Elara, accompanied by the loyal fox, made her way to the appointed place, a clearing bathed in the silver glow of the moon, while the air hummed with the whispers of nature. Avelina stood waiting, her figure cloaked in shadows, yet her presence was less daunting than before, softened by the garden's revival. The witch's eyes, once a wellspring of sorrow and bitterness, now held a glimmer of hope, a reflection of the garden's transformation. Princess Elara, Avelina, a very similar whisper, Yin, carrying the weight of untold stories. You have accomplished what many believed impossible. The garden blooms once more, a testament to your courage and heart. But there is a tale untold, a truth behind the curse that has shadowed this land. Elara listened, her heart open to the words of her former adversary, understanding that the path to true healing lay in the sharing of sorrows and the acceptance of truths. Avelini continued, her gaze lost in the memories of a time long past. The curse was born of a broken heart. Yes, but it was more than just a tale of lost love. It was a reflection of the betrayal I felt, not just by the prince, but by the world beyond the garden's embrace. I had believed in a harmony between our realms, in a shared guardianship of the magic that binds us. But when the prince left, taking with him a piece of the garden's magic, it was a betrayal that cut deeper than any personal loss. Elara could see the depth of Evelyn's sorrow, a pain that transcended the loss of love, rooted in the loss of trust and the shattering of dreams. The garden, a sanctuary of harmony and magic, had become a symbol of isolation, a fortress against the betrayals of the outside world. The curse of Inini confessed was as much a shield as it was a prison, a way to protect what remained of the garden's purity. That in doing so, I lost sight of the true essence of this plane, its capacity for growth, change, and renewal. Your journey, your belief in the garden and in me, has shown me that the walls underneath my heart were also the walls that kept out the light. The witch's admission was a balm to the wounds of the past, a bridge spanning the chasm of misunderstanding and fear. Elara stepped forward, extending a hand in friendship and forgiveness. Aoini, she said, her voice steady and sure. The garden's magic is a gift, one that drives in connection and shared stewardship. Let us rebuild those bridges. Let the garden be a place where all are welcome, where magic serves as a bond, not a barrier. The curse of Inini confessed was as much a shield as it was a prison, a way to protect what remained of the garden's purity. That in doing so, I lost sight of the true essence of this plane, its capacity for growth, change, and renewal. Your journey, your belief in the garden and in me, has shown me that the walls underneath my heart were also the walls that kept out the light. The witch's admission was a balm to the wounds of the past, a bridge spanning the chasm of misunderstanding and fear. Elara stepped forward, extending a hand in friendship and forgiveness. Aoini, she said, her voice steady and sure. The garden's magic is a gift, one that drives in connection and shared stewardship. Let us rebuild those bridges. Let the garden be a place where all are welcome, where magic serves as a bond, not a barrier. The witch took Elara's hand, a pact sealed amid the moon's watchful eye. The midnight meeting, a convergence of past and present, became a foundation for the future, one where the garden would stand as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of understanding and the enduring strength of the heart. As the night gave way to the first light of dawn, Ilpara and Avelini stood together, united in their vision for the garden. The curse of eternal winter was no more, its shadows dispelled by the warmth of newfound alliances, and the promise of a tomorrow where magic and heart would bloom in unison. In the aftermath of their midnight meeting, a newfound bond between Elara and Avelini had been forged, one that promised a brighter future for the garden. Is often the case in tales in magic and destiny. A moment of darkness loomed on the horizon, threatening to undo all they had achieved. The garden, now teeming with life, became the stage for a dramatic turn of events that none could have anticipated. A hidden force, a remnant of the old curse that had not been fully vanquished, stirred in the shadows, its presence a chilling reminder of the fragile balance between light and darkness. Avelini, sensing the disturbance, gathered Elara, hailing the fox at the heart of the garden. There is a spell, one last vestige of the curse, they had hoped would never need to be invoked. She confessed, her voice tinged with the sorrow amid the gathering clouds above. It was created as a final safeguard, a means to protect the garden by sealing it away forever from the world that had caused so much pain. The witch's words hung heavy in the air, a portent of the darkness that was to come. The spell, once cast, would envelop the garden in an impenetrable barrier, forever isolating it from the outside world, preserving its beauty but also condemning it to a solitude that would be its undoing. Lara's heart sank as she realized the gravity of the situation. The garden, a symbol of hope and renewal, faced the threat of eternal isolation, a fate that seemed to contradict everything they had worked to achieve. As Avellini prepared to cast the spell, driven by a desperate desire to protect the garden from any further harm, the sky darkened, casting shadows that crept across the vibrant landscape. The air grew still, a silent witness to the witch's chant, a melody of ancient words that began to weave the spell around the garden's borders. Lara, standing beside the fox, felt a surge of determination. "This cannot be the end," she declared, her voice cutting through the growing darkness. The garden was meant to be a place of connection, not isolation. We must find another way. With the witch's spell nearing completion, Alara did the only thing she knew how. She turned the heart of the garden to the e-bound heart that had been freed from its icy prison. Drawing upon the bond they had formed, appalled upon the garden's magic, it pleaded for intervention, for a sign that hope was not yet lost. And the garden responded from the depths of the Adern heart. A light emerged, pulsing with the collective will of every plant, every creature that called the garden home. The light spread, intertwining with the shadows cast by the spell, challenging the darkness with its brilliance. Avellini paused, the spell incomplete as the garden's light enveloped her. In that moment, she saw the truth that Talara had spoken, that the garden's true protection lay not in isolation, in the strength of its connections, in the shared hope and love of all who do within its bounds. Chapter 3. The Thawing of Whispering Shadows. As the shadows of the eclipse receded, revealing the stars that heralded the triumph of hope, the garden stood on the cusp of a new dawn. The failed sealing spell, born of fear and a desire to protect, had been the final obstacle in a journey fraught with trails. Yet, through understanding and courage, Akar and Avellini had navigated the darkness, steering the garden towards its awakening. The air that morning was charged with magic, a palpable sense of anticipation that rustled through the leaves and whispered in the wind. The garden, once silenced by the curse of eternal winter, now hummed with the promise of life. Alara, standing at the heart of the garden beside Avellini and the ever-loyal fox, felt the change deep within her bones, a stirring of warmth that spoke of the Marser, fine undoing. Avellini, her bar now aligned with the garden's essence, raised her arms to the sky. The words she spoke were ancient, a language of magic that resonated with the very soul of the garden. As she chanted, the ground trembled, and from the soil, a light began to emerge, soft at first, then growing in intensity until it bathed the entire garden in its glow. The light reached the furthest corners of the garden, touching each plant, each tree, each slumbering flower with the warmth of the sun. And as it did, the ice that had clung to their forms, a remnant of the Coziest chill, began to melt away, drop by drop, until none remained. The transformation was miraculous, but it had been locked in ice, blossomed in an explosion of color, unfurling their petals to the sky as if in gratitude. Trees that had stood frozen and bare now buzzed with the activity of leaves, their branches swaying in a dance of renewal. The air filled with the fragrance of flowers and the song of returning birds, a symphony of life that heralded the garden's rebirth. Zalara watched, awestruck by the unfolding miracle. The garden, which had endured so much sorrow, now shone with the beauty of a dream realized. It was a testament to the power of hope, to the strength found in unity and understanding. The witch, Avellini, turned to Alara, her eyes reflecting the garden's newfound vibrancy. "Whoever brought the garden back from the brink," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "Your courage, your compassion. They were the keys that unlocked the Jursa's hold. I have given the garden, and me, a second chance." Alara, moved by Taivua's words, knew that this victory was not hers alone. "We did this together," she replied, encompassing the garden and its inhabitants in her gaze. "This is the garden's awakening, but it is also a new beginning for us all. Future where we grow not apart, but together." The fox, silent witness to their exchange, nuzzled Alara's hand, its eyes gleaming with wisdom. It was a reminder of the journey they had shared, of the trials they had overcome, and the friendships they had forged. As the sun rose, casting its light over the garden, the shadows of the past were finally dispelled. The Garden of Whispering Shadows was no more, replaced by a sanctuary of light and life, a place where magic and nature danced in harmony. The awakening of the garden was not just the lifting of a curse, but the birth of a new era. One where the whispers in the shadows spoke not of sorrow, but of hope, joy. As the garden basked in the glow of its awakening, a tale of unity and a birth penned by Alara and Avellini, an unexpected chapter unfolded, one that attested the very foundations of their newfound bond. For in the heart of the garden, where magic ran deepest, there remained a shadow, not of malice, but of unresolved past, a testament to the complex tapestry of Eveline's heart. The witch, though having embraced the garden was revival, and her role within it, found herself ensnared in a battle of wills, a confrontation, not with Alara, but within her own spirit. The remnants of the curse intertwined with her own fears and regrets, manifested as a tempest, threatening to undo the harmony that had been so painstakingly achieved. Alara, sensing the turmoil within Avellini, approached her in the midst of the garden's splendor, under the ancient oak that had witnessed the garden's sorrow and its joy. "Avellini," she began, her voice a gentle caress against the backdrop of the brewing storm. "The garden has awakened, but I see the struggle that still clouds your heart. Let me stand with you, as you have stood with me." Avellini, caught in a tempest of her internal conflict, looked upon Alara, her eyes a mirror to the storm that raged within. "Princess, you have shown me the path to redemption, to a future where the garden thrives. Yet I find myself tethered to the shadows of my past, to the pain that once drove me to cast the curse." The air around them thickened as the witch's magic, fueled by her inner turmoil, lashed out, casting flickers of ice and shadows across the clearing. It was not a battle of spells, but a battle of wills, as Avellini fought to reclaim her heart from the darkness that sought to reclaim its hold. Alara, undeterred by the maelstrom, stepped closer, her resolve shining like a beacon in the night. "Avellini, the shadows of our past may haunt us, but they do not define us. You have shown the courage to change, to embrace the light. Let me help you cast away the last of these shadows together." It was then that the true power of compassion and understanding, the very essence of the bond they had forged, came to the forefront. Alara, with a heart as brave as it was kind, reached into the heart of the storm, her hand finding Avellini's amidst the chaos. Together, they stood, a union of strength and vulnerability. As the storm around them began to abate, the shadows dissolved under the weight of their shared resolve. The ice that had begun to creep across the clearing retreated, and in its place flowers bloomed, a testament to the garden's resilience. The battle of wills, a dramatic confrontation between darkness and light, ended not with a victor, but with a deeper understanding, a mutual acknowledgement of the strength found in forgiveness and the power of a heart made whole. Avellini, freed from the last vestiges of her past, looked upon the garden, then to Alara, a smile breaking through the remnants of her tears. "You have taught me much, Princess Elara, about strength, about forgiveness, and about the beauty of starting anew. I stand with you, not as a witch, but that as a guardian of this garden, a protector of the life we have vowed to cherish." As the sun crested the horizon, its light bathing the garden in a warmth that spoke of endless beginnings, Elara and Avamini stood together, not as adversaries, but as allies, their bond a testament to the transformative power of compassion. The garden, once a place of whispering shadows, now thrived as a sanctuary of light, a beacon of hope for all who sought refuge within its embrace. In the aftermath of their shared battle of wills, as peace once again settled over the garden like a gentle cloak, Elara and Avellini found themselves beneath the ancient oak, its leaves whispering tales of time past and secrets long held. The garden, now fully awakened, seemed to hold its breath, as if anticipating a revelation of a truth that had lain buried beneath layers of ice and shadows. Avellini, her heart lighter and her spirit unburdened by the darkness that had once consumed her, turned to Elara, her gaze holding a depth of sorrow and wisdom born of experiences untold. "There is a secret, a truth about the garden and myself that I have kept hidden even from you," she began, her voice soft, yet clear in the quiet of the garden. The garden, Avellini continued, was not just a sanctuary of magic and beauty. It was a sanctuary of love, a love that transcended the bounds of time and realm. The prince, whose departure ignited the spark of the curse, was not just a visitor to the garden, but its guardian, chosen by the magic of the garden itself to stand by my side. Elara listened, her heart open to the tale of love and loss that had led to the garden's long winter. She had known of the prince, of the love that had turned to betrayal, but the depth of the connection, the sacred bond between the garden of Avellini and the prince, was a revelation that cast the tale in a new light. "The prince and I," Avellini revealed, "were bound by the magic of the garden, our spirits intertwined with its life force. When he left, taking with him a part of the garden's essence, it was not just my heart that broke, but the heart of the garden itself. The curse in its inception was a cry of pain, a manifestation of the garden's sorrow as much as it was mine. The secret of the witch, now laid bare, painted a portrait of a love that was integral to the very essence of the garden. The curse, a veil of ice and shadow, was a reflection of a broken bond, a garden mourning its lost guardian, and a witch mourning her lost love." In casting the curse, Avellini whispered, her eyes glistening with unused tears, "I hope to preserve the memory of that love, to protect the garden from further harm. But in doing so, I failed to see the harm I was inflicting, the isolation I was imposing upon the garden and myself." Elara, moved by the depth of Avellini's confession, reached out, taking the witch's hands in her own. "The garden has awakened, Avellini, not just from the curse of winter, but from the sorrow of a love lost. His secret, your pain, has been the garden's to bear as well. But in sharing this truth, you have opened the path to healing, not just for yourself, but for the garden as well." A revelation of the witch's secret, a tale of love entwined with the fate of the garden, became a turning point. It paved the way for forgiveness, for the mending of hearts long fractured by loss and regret. The garden, in its infinite wisdom, had never forgotten its guardian, and never ceased to its whisper of love beneath the layers of frost or shadow. As Avellini and Elara stood together, the garden around them seemed to echo their sentiments of healing and renewal. Flowers bloomed with renewed vigor, their colors a testament to the enduring power of love, and the air was filled with the music of life, a symphony of hope and rebirth. The secret of the witch, now shared, became a story of the garden, a narrative of love, loss, and the resilience of the heart. It was a reminder that even in the deepest winter, the promise of spring lies waiting, ready to the warmth of forgiveness and the light of understanding. In the heart of the garden, where the secrets of the past had been laid bare and the sorrows of yesteryears had found their voice, Alara and Avalini stood side by side, their spirits united in a singular purpose, complete restoration of harmony. The revelation of the witch's secret had not only opened the floodgates of healing, but it also fortified the bond between them, a bond that now coasted with the collective will to revive the garden in its entirety. The task ahead was monumental, for while the curse had been lifted and the garden had begun to awaken, remnants of the old magic still lingered like shadows at dawn, threatening to dim the brilliance of the garden's resurgence. It was a magic that required a delicate touch, a harmonization of the old with the new, to weave together the fabric of life that had been torn asunder. Avalini, her connection to the garden's magic more profound than ever, called upon the ancient energies that coursed through the land. Her hands moved in graceful arts, tracing symbols of renewal and growth in the air. Her voice a melody that sang of spring's return. Hilary, guided by the wisdom of the fox and the strength of her own heart, added her voice to the chant, her words a pledge to protect and nurture the garden's newfound vibrancy. Together they worked, their magic intertwining, spiraling upwards towards the sky before cascading down like a rain of light upon the garden. Where the light touched, the earth stirred, and life blossomed with an intensity that spoke of the deep-rooted connection between the garden and its caretakers. Trees that had once stood somber and silent now hummed with the buzz of leaves, their branches heavy with blooms that unfurled in a riot of colors. Flowers carpeted the ground, their fragrance a heady perfume that filled the air. And the streams, once locked in ice, gurgled and flowed with the clear, crisp water of renewal. The gunmen at their careful ministrations, transformed before their very eyes, a testament to the power of unity and the enduring strength of hope. The shadows that had once crept at the edges of the garden receded, chased away by the burgeoning light that now filled every corner, every nook. As the final notes of Tamerlane's chant faded into the whispering wind, a profound silence enveloped the garden, a hush of reverence for the miracle that had unfolded. Then, as if in celebration, the garden erupted in a symphony of sounds, the laughter of water, the whisper of grass, the chorus of birds' song. It was a melody of life, of existence unfettered and joy unrestrained. Elara and Avalini, standing amidst the splendor of the garden's rebirth, shared a moment of quiet triumph, their gazes meeting in a mutual acknowledgement of their journey. "We have restored the garden," Elara said, her voice a reflection of the wonder that surrounded them. "But more than that, we have restored its heart, its soul, together." Avalini, her eyes glistening with the reflection of the garden's vitality, nodded. "The garden was always a place of magic, of possibilities. It was you, Ainara, who reminded me that its greatest magic lies in its capacity for change, for growth. You have given the garden, and me, a second spring. The restoration of harmony, achieved through the union of Elara's courage and Adelmina's wisdom, marked a new beginning for the garden. It stood no longer as a place of whispering shadows, but as a sanctuary of light, where every leaf, every bloom, sang of the resilience of life and the infinite cycles of renewal. And so the garden thrived, a beacon of harmony and hope, its beauty a testament to the enduring power of compassion, understanding, and the unbreakable bonds forged in the heart of nature's splendor. And out of the garden, for today was not just another day in the garden's new chapter of life. It was the day of the festive of renewal, a celebration conceived in honor of Princess Ella and the witch Avalini, the architects of the garden's survival. Word of the garden's awakening had spread far and wide, reaching the corners of the realm and beyond, drawing creatures of every ilk and kindred to witness the spectacle of its rebirth. Humans from neighboring lands, drawn by tales of the miraculous transformation, mingled with the magical inhabitants of the garden, their differences set aside in the spirit of harmony and unity. The festival was a spectacle to behold, Banners of silk, dyed in the myriad hues of the garden's flowers, fluttered in a gentle breeze. Strung between the trees, an owl stood proud and tall, their branches a canopy of green against the azure sky. Tables laden with the bounty of the garden, fruits that glistened like jewels under the sun, pastries as light as the air and nectar as sweet as the first blush of dawn, lined the pathways inviting all to partake in the feast. At the heart of the celebration, a stage had been set, adorned with garlands of flowers and vines, where Alara and Avellini stood side by side, their presence a beacon that drew all eyes. The fox, ever faithful, sat at Ara's feet, its coat a fiery contrast against the green. The festival commenced with the Song of Renewal, a melody as old as the garden itself, sung by the choir of birds that had returned to nest in its branches. Their voices, clear and true, soared high in anthem of life's ending cycle of death and rebirth. Then came the dance of the spirits, performed by the five folk who called the garden home. The movements a mesmerizing display that told the story of the garden's journey from desolation to splendor. They danced with a grace that belied the strength of their magic, weaving spells of joy and celebration that left the air shimmering with stardust. Avellini, taking the stage, her voice imbued with the magic that pulsed through the garden, spoke words of gratitude and hope. Today, we celebrate not just the renewal of the garden, but the forging of a new bond between all who dwell within and beyond its borders. That this festival be a testament to the power of unity, to the beauty that arises from embracing our differences. Alara, her heart full, added this garden, once shrouded in shadows, now shines as a beacon of hope and harmony. It stands as a symbol of what we can achieve when we stand together, united by a common purpose. May this festival mark the beginning of a era where the magic of the garden and the spirit of humanity walk hand in hand. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, the festival reached its crescendo. Lanterns of glass and paper, lit by the gentle fire of the fire, were released into the sky. A river of light that flowed towards the stars, carrying with them the wishes and dreams of all present. The festival of renewal, born from the garden's rebirth, became a tradition, a yearly reminder of the garden's journey from the depths of winter to the heights of spring. It was a celebration of life, of the enduring bond between humans, we magical inhabitants of the garden, a bond that had been strengthened by the trials they had faced and the victories they had shared. And as the night deepened, the garden thrived under the watchful eyes of Alara and Avellini, its protectors, its champions. Together, they had woven a tapestry of life from the threads of magic and humanity, creating a sanctuary where every creature, every plant, every soul could find refuge and peace. The garden, once a place of whispering shadows, now sang with her voices of renewal, a melody of hope that echoed into the heart of the world. As the festival of renewal drew to a close, with the first light of dawn caressing the vibrant life of the garden, a profound sense of peace settled over the land. The garden, once a silent witness to the passage of time, now stood as a testament to the power of renewal, of bonds forged in the heart of adversity, and an unyielding spirit of hope. At the center of this transformation was Princess Alara, whose journey from the confines of the castle to the heart of the secret garden had become a legend, a tale whispered on the wind and sung by the streams. Alara, with the wisdom of the trials she had faced and the strength of the friendships she had forged, embraced her role as the guardian of the secret garden. It was a title that bore the weight of responsibility, not just to protect the magic that pulsed beneath the soil, but also to ensure that the lessons of compassion, unity, and understanding that had led to the garden's awakening were never forgotten. Under her watchful eye, the garden became a sanctuary, not just for the magical creatures that dwell within its borders, but also for all those who sought refuge from the world beyond. Humans and magical beings alike were drawn to the garden, not just by tales of its beauty, but by the promise of a place where harmony reigned, where the divisions of the past have been sealed by the magic of the present. Alara, together with Avelini, who now stood by her side not as a witch, but as a fellow guardian, worked tirelessly to nurture this harmony. They established a council, composed of representatives from all the garden's inhabitants, to ensure that every voice was heard, that every grievance was addressed with wisdom and fairness. The garden in turn flourished under this collective stewardship, its magic a beacon that shone with a light of cooperation and peace. The legacy of Princess Alara in the secret garden became a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of winters, the promise of spring lies waiting. The garden's magic, once a hidden secret, now spread beyond its borders, carried on the wings of the wind, sowing the seeds of renewal and unity in lands far and wide. Tales of the princess and the garden were told and retold and retold, each iteration a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, to the boundless capacity for change. Children grew up in stories of Alari's bravery, of Kavohaima's transformation, and of the garden that had brought them together. These tales, enriched by the passage of time, became more than just stories. They became a part of the fabric of the realm, a guiding light for future generations. And as the years passed, the secret garden remained a timeless haven where the cycle of life danced in harmony with the magic of nature. Alara, ever the guardian, ever the beacon of hope, watched over this dance, her heart full of the love that had saved the garden, that saved her. In the end, the legacy of Princess Alara and the secret garden was one of love, a love that transcended the boundaries of time and realm, that healed the deepest of wounds, and it reminded all who heard the tale that within every heart lies the potential for me beyond saloon. The garden with its whispering shadows, now bathed in light, stood as a monument to this legacy, a sanctuary of peace and beauty that endureth through the ages, a living testament to the power of a heart awakened.